What's good, everybody? It's BBKDRAGOON. Welcome back to the Warframe Beginner's Guide. We are just going to get right into it today. So much to cover, and I'm just loving this game, and I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. Last time we talked about Mars, getting your Cephalon fragments, and basically completing the junction requirements for Phobos. We're going to talk about the boss, though, today, Lieutenant Lech Kril. So this guy is the first boss in which, if you don't do the mechanics, you're not going to be able to take this dude down. Lech Kril is probably the boss that you want to do solo first time. I think this is one of the more fun boss fights in Warframe. What you need to do is stand in front of the boss. The boss is going to be invulnerable until you complete a bunch of damage to this guy's backpack. He has a big hammer that he swings, and he also has a gun that he's going to fire at you. When you stand in front of him, you're trying to bait out an overhead attack. He'll do a big overhead swinging hammer attack, and when he does this, his back becomes vulnerable. You want to shoot his little backpack that has these hoses on it. And when you drill his backpack, it will look like no damage is being done. However, after enough shots, you'll see a tube come flying loose, and then it will wave back and forth. There are 4 tubes in total. You want to continue baiting out the overhead attack. When the tube is like detached after you've done enough damage to detach the tube and it's flailing back and forth, when he does the overhead slam, he will freeze himself, allowing you to deal more damage to that backpack. After all 4 tubes have been done and you've done enough back damage, you'll see Kril show a bunch of flame, like he'll stand up in a big ball of fire, and at that point you can DPS him down. He will become vulnerable, he won't be gray barred anymore. Some melee strikes will take this guy down really quickly. Now, if you're struggling with this boss, you can queue it up with other people. That's never a bad option. However, I do encourage you guys play this one through solo because we're going to be fighting him on Ceres again, and you're going to be farming him on Ceres because we're going to be building Frost, and Frost is one of my favorite frames in this game. Anybody who had the Twitch Prime deal last year had a Twitch Prime in their inventory, but don't worry, if you didn't get him, you're able to get him on Ceres. Okay. So let's then move on to the Boltor. At this point, you should have built the Boltor. I've not talked about this before, but the general, what would you say, the circulating thing you're going to be doing over and over and over again in Warframe is leveling weapons up and then selling those weapons. So if you hit escape and you come to equipment and then you come down to your inventory, you're going to be able to see a list of everything that you have, everything that you've used, all that jazz, and you can sort by warframes, weapons, etc. So if I come to my weapons, and essentially you can sell, price, owned, all this jazz. The stuff here is the weapons that I've owned on this particular account. And once I've leveled a weapon up completely and I don't have enough slots to build more weapons, I'm going to be selling these weapons to create space. So my dual Skana, what I can do here, since I've already leveled these things up to level 30, I've been pushing my mastery rank forward, I can literally just click on it and I can sell it for 5,000 credits. You're going to be doing this with a lot of weapons throughout Warframe, primarily because you need weapon slots. Unless you want to be spending platinum to buy more weapon slots, which you are more than welcome to do. And again, we've talked about trading for platinum in an earlier video in this series. You're still going to be selling a lot of weapons that are just sort of junk weapons. You use them one time to level them up and get the mastery rank benefit from it, and then just get rid of those items. If you don't know what to get rid of so far, don't worry. You know it's quite easy to acquire most of these weapons from the market and to rebuild certain weapons. And getting to weapons like fully ranked up, the further we get in the star chart, the easier that process is going to become. It'll get to the point where you're literally just doing one 10 base wave mission, and you've got your thing completely ranked up with an affinity booster. It gets very fast the later you get in the game to get things ranked up to level 30. Additionally, when you are ranking up weapons, if you unequip all the other weapons, it's going to level that piece of gear up faster. So let's say you're trying to rank the Boltor up, unequip your sidearm and unequip your melee weapon on the missions that you're doing. If you go in and complete spy missions successfully, you're going to accumulate a bunch of affinity for that gun, and it ranks up a lot quicker than if you have, 3 weapons equipped. It spreads that affinity across all 3. So if you just solo and want to focus it into the singular weapon, that's something I've not talked about in the guide series before. I also wanted to show you guys how you can very easily defeat the bosses at the junctions. So I hopped into the Phobos junction to show you here what it looks like. I'm going to hop into the Ceres Junction and demonstrate it here as well. So if you picked Excalibur, pretty much all the junctions in the game are going to be a total joke until a lot later. All you need to do is blind the enemy by using your number 2 ability, Then press 4 to pull out the, what is it, Exalted Blade or whatever, and then you're just going to backstab. And it should one-shot it. I don't even think you need to have mods on for it to do this. So here's Trinity. Is it Trinity? Yeah, it is Trinity. So 2, 4, E, backstab, you're done. That's it. That's how you're going to be completing pretty much all the nodes for quite a long time. And Trinity Prime is the current Twitch Prime promotion, I believe. And if you guys have Trinity, that frame is just such a beast of a support frame. Really, really like that frame. And perhaps I can do a video talking about some of my favorite builds. We're a little early in the game to be talking about build options just because you guys don't have corrupted mods just yet. And maybe you don't have like continuity and some of the void relic, the void farming stuff that we're going to be doing in like an episode or two. So stick around with the guide and we might do some Trinity or Frost builds coming up. I will show you guys my favorite build with Frost at this point in the game though. Speaking of Frost, let's get into it. So Mars, hop into Phobos and start completing nodes out on Phobos. The boss of Phobos, the Sergeant, is just a simple enemy. There's no mechanics for it. I don't really need to show this boss fight out, but you will need to beat the Iliad node in order to progress on to Ceres. So the Ceres Junction requirements: defeat the Sergeant. That's what we just talked about. Lech Kril, I showed you that at the beginning of the video. Defeat 300 Arid Grenier enemies on Mars. You'll just accumulate that as you're completing your blue nodes on Mars. And refine a Void Relic. I showed this off in an earlier portion of the guide, but if we come back down here, here is your Void Relic station. And all it's really looking for you to do is click on one of your Void Relics, and you can use, I always forget the name of this stinking Void Traces. Is that the currency? And all you need to do is refine one of them. So if I just click here, refine it, A2 exceptional, blah, blah, blah. That is what it's looking for you to do. You're just changing the drop rates by putting in more void traces. Once you've done that, come back to your star chart, and let's talk about Ceres. Exta is the boss node of Ceres, in which you're going to be fighting both Lech Kril and Vor. You'll remember Vor from the earlier portions of the game. He's a boss that just keeps showing up over and over again in Warframe. He's no trouble, but you're going to be fighting both of these guys at the same time. This one I do recommend queuing up with other players. It'll make your life a lot easier for the most part. However, if you have people bubbling, this was a problem last year. A lot of times Frost players would throw their snow globe down on top of Lech Kril, and it slows down like how often he'll do the overhead slam attack. It can be quite frustrating to deal with. So make sure nobody's dropping abilities that inhibit Lech Kril's overhead slam attack. You need that for him to freeze himself after you've damaged the backpack. You can do this in any order you want. Most people kill Vor first, and then they'll go after Lech Kril. That's what I generally have done. But once you kill him, and kill both dudes, and complete the mission, you will have a chance to get the Frost Warframe parts. A Warframe is comprised of 3 parts: chassis, neuroptics, and system. You will need all 3 parts in order to build the frame. Additionally, you're going to need the blueprint for the frame, and you can get the blueprint from the market. So let's explain what that process looks like. If you come down to your foundry, I wonder how many Frost parts I actually have right now. I have the neuroptics and I have the systems. I don't have the chassis for Frost just yet. I'll keep farming for it. I already have a Frost Prime from last year. At this point, if you need help finding where any of these particular items needed to build these pieces are, always go to the Warframe Wikipedia. That is going to give you the best amount of information on drop points and places that you can farm these particular pieces. So I'm going to build the neuroptics. I'm going to build the systems. And if I had the chassis blueprint right now, I would build the chassis. Each of these is going to take 12 hours to complete. Yes, you can spend platinum to speed up this process. I never recommend that. It's more fun, I think, as a Warframe player to let these things do their deal, finish up, and when you come back tomorrow, it's ready to go. Now, understand, this clock will continue to tick when you're not in game. A lot of new players think you need to be in game for 12 hours. No, this will just keep going even when you're not around. When they complete, tomorrow, you're going to pick up those items. You're going to pick up the neuroptics, the chassis, and the systems. Then we'll come over here to the market, and we'll go Frost, and we will buy the Frost blueprint. Remember, it's very easy to go for the platinum route and spend your almost 400 platinum here to pick up Frost. Don't do that. All you need to do is either the blueprint here at the bottom, which I'm really glad they added that button that didn't used to be there, or you can come over here to the build. And it's going to show you exactly what you need. An Oro can sell, the credit cost, the neuroptics, the chassis, and the system. And you're going to buy the blueprint. And this is going to take 3 days. So you have 12 hours for the system's chassis and neuroptics, and then 3 days total. But Frost is a frame that can carry you through the rest of the star chart, and it is absolutely worth picking up. And as I've mentioned to you guys before, I really like the Frost frame. It's just one of my favorite in the game. Super, super good as a solo player for a good portion of the star chart. I want to roll back the clock here and talk about the Phobos Junction a little bit further. Defeat 150 enemies in a single mission on Mars. Find an excavation mission on Mars and just go for it. You're going to be accumulating resources that are useful to you, and it's just endless enemies spawning in excavation. It's very easy to get 150 enemies down in an excavation mission. We talked about scanning the 3 cephalon fragments on Mars in last time's video. If you are struggling with this, I recommend just checking every nook and corner of the map that you possibly can. There's also a mod called Thief's Wit that you can equip that will show you, when upgraded fully, certain items on the map like a cephalon fragment. So on your mini-map, it can actually show you when you're getting close. Still have to be within a pretty close area for it to show up on the mini-map, but it can be helpful if you're getting stuck on that point. Then opening 3 Lith Void Relics. We've talked about this in an earlier episode, but remember, your Void Fissures are up here, and you're just going to complete these missions and open up those good old cabbages. Make sure you're completing the blinking blue nodes over on Phobos. Work your way towards Ceres. Complete the blue nodes on Ceres. And by the time the next guide comes out, I'm hoping that you have Frost beginning to build. Frost is an awesome frame. I will continue talking for the next couple of planets as if you have Excalibur, but we're going to be transitioning to Frost as we push a little bit further in the star chart. And the skill ramps up a decent amount as we get to Jupiter and then push into Saturn. The game heats up. You're getting further along. We're going to, go to the Void here pretty soon, one of the coolest locations in the game. So with all that said, if I missed anything, please let me know about it down in the comment section below. You veteran players have been phenomenal throughout the series and continue to be. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please thumbs the video up. Have a great rest of your day, and I will check in with you again next time.